Hey friends, TUXX here. Due to a recording snafu, I lost some footage while doing a unboxing for the Surfans F28 player, okay? So we're going to go ahead and just take this. I'm not going to try and recreate it or fake a unboxing, but just know basically that we have unboxed it and we've been testing this now for a little while, adding 20 tracks to this player, and we're going to go ahead and check some of the functionality and give some final thoughts about how good this player is. So let's go ahead and dive into the recovered footage. Alright, we're going to hit the power button here and see how long it takes to boot up. We got the blue light there. There it goes to Surfans. Let's see how long did it get to that first menu. Kind of waiting. Now again, it might be a little bit different once you get it all set up. The first screen here will probably be choose language. Yeah, there we go. So pretty snappy though. It went pretty fast. Let's go ahead and choose language. I think this is a full touch screen. Oh, it is. Look at that. Okay, so the F35 was kind of a fake touch screen. It was like, it looked like a touch screen, but the only touch part was like right below here. But this is a true touch screen, which is really good. So you don't have to worry about using buttons. We'll click that. Click English. Maybe I have to hit the English word. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, it looks like it took English. It just kind of immediately went to this. And here we have the main screen, it looks like. And we have all recent albums, tracks. Looks like there's no, they didn't include any kind of like little sample track to get you going or whatever. The volume, I'm liking that. That's pretty cool. A very big volume display. Let's go all the way up here. Let's see if it goes to 100 or 120. Oh, extended exposure to high volume can lead to hearing damage. Okay, and that goes off at like 50 something. We'll keep going here. And this is probably touch screen, so you probably could, yeah, just go to 100, just touch it at the end. And it looks like, so it does go to 100%. We'll take it down to like 51 for now, and we'll raise it up. Other screens here, looks like, okay, so on the main screen here, we have all artists, or all recent albums, artists, and genre, okay? And then looks like there's no music. So I guess my next step is I need to add some music to this bad boy, and we'll be right back. Okay, so after adding our 20 songs, you can see here it's already divided them up into the categories, and it has actually added them to the SD card. It doesn't actually seem to save music on the player. It seems like the player itself has the operating system on it, and that's it. And all the music actually goes on to the micro SD card that's right down here. Now, there are some pros and cons to that. One pro would be that the card itself doesn't seem to have a lot of file folders like the Sony player does, where it requires a lot of music folders, you know, and different folders for music, ebooks, or whatever. Basically, this one just has one big old hard drive. You pop your music on there, and it figures out what goes into what category, you know, which is great. You know, I like that a lot, actually. It's very spunky and responsive as far as quickly adding music. It doesn't have a long time to add. Like the Sony one, you add music and it takes time for it to actually, you know, to search it and add it and all that type of thing. This one, pretty much once you have it on the, you know, hard drive, once you transfer it via the included USB-C cable, you know, to your PC or whatever you're using to store your music on, it's really good. I do have videos on how I get music from players, you know, onto other players, you know, and oftentimes that might just be, I have a number of flash memory cards here that I'll swap between, but for this particular unboxing, I went ahead and started fresh, and I just added music to this player directly from the PC with the cable, you know, so it worked out pretty good. I like the way it divides all the songs into easy categories. You know, of course, have favorites, my playlist. Yes, it does create playlists, recently added and recently played, you know, so recently played is one that I like a lot, and I went through and I listened to music for, you know, for quite a while, actually. You know, it was about 20 plus songs I've been going through and listening to, and a lot of these songs sound excellent. One takeout I did notice again was that it did surprise me that like certain tracks, like Mysterious Ways here, it did count as a true HD track, but a lot of the other tracks, which are of great quality, it didn't actually see, hopefully it's focusing here, it didn't actually see as an HD track, you know, which kind of surprised me. Sorry about that here. My camera autofocus is going a little crazy. It did have no problem with album art that was included, although some of my tracks don't necessarily have album art. These are just like the best quality MP3s I have in my collection that I use for testing different players, you know, and these aren't all my test songs, but they're just ones I wanted to listen to today for this particular test. You know, a lot of them, just to call out a few individual things here. New Gold sounded amazing. You know, Gorillaz always sounds great. This is a really well done recording when they recorded it in the studio, so it sounds really good on pretty much all players, but it really shined on here. In fact, every now and then, okay, on, you know, DAP players, high definition players, you hear something new, you know, and I did actually hear something new on the Gorillaz track. There's a little bit of a bass line that is in the song, but just the way the bass sounded, it has a little certain tin noise to it, a certain noise that I really didn't notice on other players, including the Sony NWA 306. So I was really impressed with that. You know, a lot of the tracks sounded great. I thought that my particular copies of Death Cab for Cutie, Soul Meets Body, Crooked Teeth sounded a little bit low in volume. When I originally started with this, I started, like I said, at 80, okay, and I did have to crank that up using the little dial here, you know, going up to 90 or 100, you know. It does not have a limiter on it, so I kind of feel like at 100 it does have a little bit of distortion, not much. It sounds very clean, very good, but it is a situation where I think about 80 or so is kind of the sweet spot of listening. It's very loud and just really good. I really love the wheel. This wheel feels great in hand, so I definitely feel like that's a plus. Very high quality. It does turn, this I thought was a little interesting, going forward, that is clockwise, it actually reduces the volume, and going backwards, counterclockwise, it increases volume. And I don't know why, without testing other units, I kind of feel like that might be reversed on some players. Like when I think of like time going forward, I think of volume increasing. When I think of, you know, time going backwards, you know, counterclockwise, I think of volume going decreasing, because you're going, you know, to the left, you're going down, not up. But maybe it's just me. From the main music screen here, if it does have album art, it will show the art, which is really good. Let me fast forward here to one that has art. I think this one might here. Good girls. It does take a second, as you can see, to load the art. So if I fast forward the track here off Churches, it's going to go to the Franz Ferdinand, and it takes a second to actually show the album art. Sometimes it goes back to that generic graphic, and sometimes it doesn't. Here, let me hit it again here. See, basic graphic. Okay, it looks like this one does not have any kind of album art. Phantom Limb here, no. Not all of these tracks made. These are just like really good quality MP3s, but I don't really tag them for art necessarily. It's just something I kind of threw on this player very quickly. U2 sounds amazing. This is probably the standout track on here. It really sounds good, and this is with my EQ settings, a custom EQ, but again, it does have, you know, all the normal rock, jazz, all the presets you would expect on this 10-band EQ, which is nice. On EQ here, I will say, on the 10-band EQ, it did have one little weird thing where it wanted me to set a master setting switch before it would let me, you know, get to it. And I kind of feel like if you can get to the screen, you should be able to change the EQ on the fly, but there is kind of like a lock screen, and from a brand new player out of the box, I couldn't actually change the EQ until I found that lock screen, and it took a little bit of digging, you know, it really did. So I kind of feel like the menus on this player could be a little bit better. You got the up arrow here, a back arrow, and then here between the songs, here you can do some things like add to playlist is one which I do want to call out. This is important to people. How do you make a playlist? You're listening to a song, you add to playlist, you can create a new playlist, you can call it whatever you want. Let's just call it M here. We're going to click OK, and now it's added to the new M playlist. Okay, so very simple stuff. I feel like the naming screen is a little hard. It kind of is like 3 letters per, you know, square, which could be done a little bit better. I do love the way it has all this great information down here for you, so that's a big plus too. And that's much like the F20, which actually, it was almost like information overload on their teeny little screen. They really shoved a lot of information there. I like the way you can actually delete a track right there if you don't like a track. Like I know that there's one track I have in here that had a problem. Not that one. Let me see here. Let's take a look at the tracks that I was playing. Alive with the Glory of Love had a problem with it. Here we go, Say Anything. So if, let's say this track here has a problem, you can actually delete the track right here with delete. So we're just going to delete that track. Do you want to delete this file? I'm going to hit delete this track. Yes, delete. And now it's deleted. So you can actually take tracks off it, which is good. Like let's say if you're driving, you're on a trip or whatever, and you have some MP3 that turns out it had a glitch or it was bad, you can easily delete it, which is a nice touch. As far as other features of it, this really is a music player. This isn't so much of a, you know, any kind of like a video player or whatever. It's really meant just to really enjoy music, and that's not a bad thing at all. Itself, it sounds great, and again, I did test it with these particular Sony headphones, which I do a lot of testing on, and they sounded great. Like, I did it with Bluetooth. You can easily hook it up with Bluetooth. I'm not going to show that right now, but it's exactly what you'd suspect. Sorry, my autofocus is going on me here. Bluetooth settings, let me go really close. There, you see Bluetooth settings right there. Okay, right here is system settings at the bottom. You know, and then there's things like folders, playback, my music. And it does have ebooks. I wouldn't really recommend reading ebooks on here. And let's go under the setting here, and you can see there's things like UI themes. Like this is the typical black gold, but there's also a cyber theme. And if we go back here, I can show you what that looks like here. See, it's kind of a blue looking theme. We'll go under system settings again, UI themes. There's youth, which let's check out this one. And youth is kind of a matted blue or teal color. And then go into system settings. So I think the best one probably is that black gold. But there is here for theme color, you can actually change the colors a little bit. I think the theme is more like how it mixes the colors. And then you can actually like change the colors here if you want to, whatever you want it to be, which is a nice touch, you know. I feel like the Sony still probably has more music functions, you know, as far as, you know, different types of digital effects and things that you find in higher players, like $1,000 plus players that are not on here. But for listening to basic music, this is a great little player, and Surfans always has great sound. So even though like on the F35 and this one, the touchscreen isn't quite 100%, this is a huge improvement over the F35. But every now and then I did still have a little bit of issue with the touchscreen. But you can see here, just scrolling up, scrolling down, it's very responsive, very nice, but just some of the menu systems could probably use more of a dedicated button maybe to get to main menu, or something always on the screen where you can just hit a button and it kind of gets you to menu instead of like my only option here is selecting one of these or back, you know. There is firmware update, so later if there is a firmware update, let me zoom in here, see that firmware update? Okay, you can actually do an update, and there is restore factory settings too, which is really good if you're selling it or something and you want to go ahead and get it back to the original setting. There is standby, battery percentage, sleep timer, idle timer, time settings, double tap, that's interesting, lock, USB mode, font size, theme color, UI, backlight time, which I have to the longest, brightness, right now it's only 50%, but you can make this brighter, you really can. Going back here, music database, you can either make it manual or auto. There's that for you. So anyway, just good settings. Not a whole lot of extra like digital filters like the Sony, that kind of thing, like, you know, vinyl effects and things like that. But you know what? For a great little player that's under $200, this is actually a really good way to go. So I'm definitely digging that. Sometimes people ask me for additional technical specs, so you might want to fast forward through this part, but if you're interested, again, this is dual ES90 K2M chips, two of them, okay, for unparalleled audio performance, as they say. The chips, you really can hear the difference. They really do sound nice with a really good sound feel that really makes music sound like big and open, and it doesn't sound like tinny or crunchy, but you still hit those like little like snare drum parts, and those sound fresh. And I did notice several times while listening to this some things I had not noticed in other music players, you know, so that definitely tells me that these chips, you know, making the difference there, which is great. Again, it's 2.5 balanced and 3.5 millimeter outputs here on the top, which is really good. The battery is 2,000 milliamps, which is really good. They say you can listen up to 12 hours. Okay, so 12 hours of playtime on this particular device with normal volume listening. Of course, that would vary depending upon what you're doing. Screen time of shut off like this, if it goes off, that's going to save you some battery life. So I'm going to leave this off right now because I know my batteries are getting low. Signal noise ratio is 119, 119 decibels, which is great. Dynamic range is DNR is less of 120 dB. The stereo output level basically is on the 3.5 is 20 RMS, VMRMS, and that is definitely louder. The output is louder than some other players. There's no limiter, and so that is great. It almost could be too loud. Like I'd recommend it in 100, but maybe play it at like 90 or something, you know. to avoid any kind of distortion. I didn't definitely hear distortion at 100, but just to play it safe, you know what I'm saying? As far as impedance range, it's 160 to 3000. The EQ has normal things like rock, classic, jazz, pop, dance, vocal, blues, heavy metal, and custom, okay, which is great. They say it supports up to a 512 memory card, okay, so it could actually go a little more than that, but they say it supports 512, and that's as high as they say it supports. But again, I've seen players that say they support lower numbers and they'll take a higher memory card, no problem, you know, so something to think about anyway, okay. And again, this particular player is USB DAC, so you can use the player as a computer decoding amp, okay, in USB DAC mode, which is really good. And of course, you can connect to stereos via Bluetooth or via 3.5, which of course right up here again, just to show you, this is a 3.5 and that is the 2.5, okay, in volume. On the side here again, there's, you know, different buttons for fast forward, play. As far as supported music files, this will play APE, WAVs, and that's 384 kilohertz, 24-bit, which some won't actually. WMAs, WMA lossless, FLAC, DSF, which is one of my favorite music file types, you know, and that's 11.28 megahertz to 1 bit, which is really a huge, beautiful file. DFF, AIFF, M4A, AAC, OGG, MP2, MP3, and so on. So it plays a wide variety of actual types of music folder or files. You shouldn't really have a problem playing anything, I don't think, on this device. If you have something in your collection that won't play on this device, let me know, because that would be kind of a rarity, I think, you know. All you get in the box, again, is you get the player, the manual, and the cable. It would be kind of nice if maybe they had a pack-in, like, cheap pair of headphones, or there's Surfans in-ear monitors, which are great. I don't have them in this particular video. I will put a link for them down below. I do use them, and they sound really good, actually. I bought them originally when I got my F20, my Surfans F20, and I had to have a video on the in-ear monitors that Surfans makes, and they're great low in-ear monitors, but unfortunately they're packed away in my travel bag, so I can't get to it right now easily, so I'm not going to leave it. I'm going to leave that out of this video, but these are really my go-to headphones, the Sony, you know, 5s over the ear, and I do love the in-ear, you know, earbuds too, the noise canceling earbuds, and I have a lot of videos on those. You can see all those videos back in the queue, you know, but a lot of options for you. As far as specifications, again, great little player. It will actually fit in the pocket very easily. If you compare it to the Sony NWA, just again, I talked about this before other places, it's really about the same size. It's a little bit thicker, and maybe it's just a little bit longer, like a couple millimeters longer or taller, if you will, a couple millimeters wider. Here, let me go ahead and show it this direction. You can see here, it's just a little bit wider, but it's basically the same size, you know, so nice little size, convenient, you know, not too big, not too small. It'll easily fit in your pocket and everything, which is nice, you know. I think this is kind of a sweet spot for a lot of people with a music player being about this size. Like the bulky F35, too much, man, way too big, you know. That was a real problem. So that was something where it was just, it would not fit in your pocket easily, and that's never a good thing, you know. Customers say they love this player. I've had people write me saying, hey, TUXX, do the F28. And again, I kind of was hesitant to review this player just because normally players go in like number order. Like there's the F20, which is their flagship original model, and then they went to F35. And then maybe because of fighter jets or something, or I don't know. And then this one, they went back to F28. So when I first seen this model, I thought, wow, is this like some kind of like rehashed version of the F35 or whatever? But no, the F28 is indeed their premium, more expensive, like flagship model right now, you know. And the F35 I think has been discontinued, although sometimes you can still find it, you know. But honestly, I'd recommend this one over the F35 from Surfans, you know, and I will do some comparison videos down the road, but I just wanted to get this unboxing out for you so you can check it out. Again, great little player. If you have any question about this player, let me know, okay? TuXXtoys@gmail.com. You guys know I'm here to help. Again, I'm sorry I lost a little bit of the video footage recording this video, so it was a little more chopped up than usual, but again, if you have any questions, I'm definitely down to do a follow-up or put some additional comments down below, and you guys know I'm quite responsive to answering comments as well, you know, and I will do some versus videos down the road too, okay, to compare these two other players. But I would say this is a win just because the price itself is not bad. You know, it's under $200, so it's way cheaper than the Sony NWA 306, you know, and other more expensive players. And, you know, it has some nice upgrades compared to the F20. Now, if money's tight, and I'll talk more about this in my comparison, my versus video, but this versus versus the F20, this is something where if I had the money, which is under 200, you know, it's just a little bit more than the F20, I would buy this for the touchscreen alone, and it sounds excellent, you know. But the F20 is a very solid unit, so if you can't afford this unit, the F20 is still a great way to go. And I'll have a link for the F20 down below. I'll have a link for this down below, and you can go ahead and check them out and compare for yourself. But that's gonna wrap up this video, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, I'm sorry I lost some footage halfway through. Oh my gosh. And I might do a reshoot or do some things down the road, but I feel like I've covered this good for you. So this will hopefully help you make the decision if you're deciding whether to buy a Surfans F28 or not. I love it. It's a great little player. I'm going to use this player for the next week or so. Test it, add some more songs to it, test it, check it out with different headphones and things, and I may come back with another video or some follow-up comments, and I may talk about this also in the versus video coming up, okay? All right, friends, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.